Okay guys, this is the JavaScript part. Like earlier I showed you in part 1 of this video tutorial, I showed you the HTML or the markup side of the code, and now we're gonna visit into the server side. No, so not server side, I mean the JavaScript side with the code from the JavaScript. Okay, let's start from the top. So basically, I just create a module as I showed you in the HTML code. I have a module here with same name. I give a name to a module, it assign the reference to the module with the same variable name, and after that I create a service. And then I give a name to a service, and basically I have a function here. I call that anonymous function without a name. And then inside of this function I have the API. I'm going to talk about how the API really works later, but let me show you then how what this service, the AngularJs service, really does. It just has a couple of methods as a public method. Okay, this is the public method. So basically it has a 3 method that can be accessed from outside. The important thing to us is the convert number to text function or method here. It takes 2 parameters, the number to convert into the words, and then the language abbreviation. And some of these little utility method that I will talk to them later whenever in that particular section. Okay. Very first thing I have to do here is, remember, I have this API custom check writer that basically knows how to take a language based on the language abbreviation is basically every the ISO. Let me show you this one. It is inside API here. So basically there is ISO code for every language. For example, the ISO code for France is a FR, English is EN, Spanish is ES, and stuff like that. All the languages has 2-character abbreviation. So basically that is what I'm talking about when I say language abbreviation. So that is the language abbreviation that has to be called by the caller. If you want to convert that into a French, of course, you're going to pass me the ISO code for the French language, which is FR, and the number to convert into. And then inside of this one, basically here I have my API custom check writer, and to the constructor of this function constructor of this class is a JavaScript, so I pass the abbreviation. Okay, and then basically you just call this method called write billions text. This basically, this API right now can convert up to 99 billion or something. And I will be modifying this one so that it can easily work for a larger number, like trillions or whatever. Okay, this is all. Of course, the APIs I will explain to you. It's not that bad to even the API. Okay, after that, once we have our module is defined now, and our service is defined, then we're going to define our controller using AngularJS. On the same module, I'm going to define a controller, give a controller name as a number to text, num to text converter controller, and I will excuse me, and then specify some of the dependency that it has. For example, this scope dependency is provided by of course the AngularJS framework. And this number to text converter service is actually our service that we are injecting into this controller that we are writing. Okay, so in here, remember this, so if I run this one here, it doesn't, the actual div container, which is here, even though these 3 div container right here, div tag, are not visible, which is because by this ngShow directive. This ngShow directive is set to a variable called should_display_board. As you can see in JavaScript, this variable is set to false. So initially, that's why it's not visible, that particular section. And of course, bulk of the work is going to happen inside this method, convert to text, which is called by our here. So on ng key up, we call this convert to text method. So basically, ng key up is basically this feature. Let's use this. Every key that once they release the key, that's when that event's fired. That's when this particular method gets called or invoked. So let's look into what happens when the method gets invoked. So that's you hear that little audio sound because I have this little method called play audio sounds. So basically, whatever is playing is that recorded clip sound. And then on line number 328, let me make it a little bigger so that you can actually see it better here. Let me even close this Solution Explorer so everything will be code now. Alright, so here basically I'm having reference to my model, which is the text box. Whatever value I enter into my text box, now I'm going to assign into this local variable here, input number. And then so I have this little utility method inside the service, because remember I'm injecting my service into this controller. And then I'm going to say, okay, hey, this number right here that came out from the text box, tell me whether it's a number or not. This number is very basic JavaScript function. Basically goes over the method, make sure it's a digit, not any other character. So this function is not number. If it is not a number in any character, then basically I reset all my parameter to empty string. For example, input number and all these parameters that I have, scope level variable, are set to based on the data type. For example, a string, or this one is set to false, and then return from this method call nothing to do, hey, because you don't have any right data. So for example, if that's basically this code gets fired whenever if I type something, any other character beside numbers. Or if I type something like that and then it comes in here, I type any character beside 0 to 9, then that's what happens. It prevents going further. Otherwise, this block of code start executing, right? Basically what happens here is this, I'm saying, alright, if this number is not undefined, means it's defined, and the type of the number is data type of the input number is number. If that is good, then I do one more validation, because I cannot handle right now, this API cannot handle more than 11-digit number, like billions and above, 99 billions and above. So if that happens, then basically automatically reset, don't display any of those block for different languages, and set the input number value equals to empty string and return done. Okay, if my validation good, up to here is basically all about validation. If if I do not come into this block, if everything is good, then I come into actual section of the code from which I can now I have the actual number here. Like I say, here's the input number, and then this is the language abbreviation. For example, in English I pass the ISO in language code EN, for Spanish ES, and French FR. And this is the num to text converter service that I already showed you before. So it has a method called number to convert number to text. It knows how to do that conversion by basically invoking the API that we have inside our service. Okay. So basically, once after the invocation of all of them, for English, the result would be assigned to this variable, and this for the Spanish, and one for this for the French. Once all those values comes out, now you know what? Now I have actual value, converted value for digit to text, and now I'm going to say to the scope variable. Now I want to display that. This is very important. So I set the display board equals to true. I set this value equals to true, and which causes